I want to reiterate my strong support for Sarah Zaldana, a woman eminently qualified to serve our country, to lead ICE as our next Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security. Now, the junior senator from Texas began this long legislative weekend engaged in his own political battle, wholly dependent on a strategy of obstructionism, delay, and some quixotic fixation on preventing the Senate from exercising its constitutional responsibility to legislate and ensure that critical leadership positions for our nation are filed in a timely manner. Unfortunately, some of my friends on the other side have joined in the politics of obstructionism. Now they want to prevent a duly elected president from filling a position they themselves feel is of paramount importance. They have railed about the need for strong immigration and customs enforcement. And now, given the chance finally to confirm a director of ICE, to give them the strong enforcement they have demanded, they refuse. They obstruct. They delay. They reverse their positions when they voted for her to be a United States attorney, and now use her nomination to score political points with their base because they disagree with the president's politics, not with the qualifications of the nominee, but with the president's policies. Sarah Zaldana is qualified, and Senator Cruz and Senator Cornyn and Senator Sessions and everyone on the other side of the aisle know it. I think they've said so themselves. She currently serves as the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas. She is the first Latina U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas and would be the first Latina to head ICE. In 2011, she won bipartisan approval to serve as the U.S. Attorney in the Dallas-based Northern District of Texas. Senators John Cornyn and Kay Bailey Hutchinson at that time of Texas backed her for that post. She's been endorsed by the law enforcement community, including the Major Cities Chiefs Association president and the Philadelphia Police Department Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey. She is an effective, qualified, competent, outstanding United States attorney. In fact, the senior senator from Texas, my friend Senator Cornyn, has praised her as being tough, smart, and fiercely independent. Now she is being denied confirmation for that same toughness, intelligence, and independence. Why? Because, surprise of all surprises, she happens to agree with the policies of the president who nominated her. Just as Attorney General Herbert Brownell agreed with President Eisenhower in 1956 when he paroled foreign-born orphans into the United States for adoption. Just as Attorney General Edward Levy agreed with President Gerald Ford in 1976 when he granted extended voluntary departure to Lebanese citizens. Just as Ed Meese agreed with Ronald Reagan in July of 1987 when he shielded Nicaraguan refugees from deportation, and later when he shielded Polish nationals from deportation. And in October of 1987, when President Reagan protected from deportation the minor children of parents legalized in the 1986 immigration law. Just as Attorney General Richard Thornburg agreed with George Herbert Walker Bush in November of 1989 when he protected Chinese nationals from deportation after Tiananmen Square. And in February of 1990, when President Bush extended President Reagan's family fairness policy to spouses and unmarried children, all undocumented at the time. And just as John Ashcroft agreed with President George W. Bush when he expedited naturalization for green card holders who enlisted in the military in 2002. So this isn't a fundamental Republican policy issue backed by history or by the facts. It is a modern-day, extreme conservative issue driven by politics despite the facts, contrary to their own history. The fact is they don't agree with the president on just about anything. Certainly not on immigration, as proven on the statements we have heard on this floor. But I want to be very clear. We cannot judge the qualifications of Sarah Zaldana to run immigration and customs enforcement based solely on the fact that she agrees with the policy of the decisions of the president Who nominated her? That's an absurd and completely illogical standard. We judge nominees based on their qualifications, their integrity, their record, and their willingness to serve the nation. The fact is, we don't deny confirmation to score political points. We may disagree on the issues, but we cannot raise the bar so high, the political bar, I should say, so high in this chamber that we no longer are able to carry out our constitutional mandate of advice and consent. I don't believe that is what my colleagues would suggest, but that appears to be how they are judging this nominee and why they have chosen to hold up the confirmation of so many nominees. They've raised the political bar so high as to deny any ability for this president to fill key positions in government and in our embassies abroad, all to score political points and diminish the ability of this president and this institution to govern. Now, Mr. President, Sarah Zaldana is more than qualified to head Immigration and Customs Enforcement. She is more than qualified to oversee the agency my Republican colleagues fully support, that is responsible for enforcement of immigration laws, national security, drug smuggling, human trafficking, cybersecurity, and child exploitation. She will direct the agency that tracks down people without documentation. And that is what my Republican friends want. And yet, they have set the political bar so high that they have made it impossible for them to get what they claim to want most when it comes to immigration policy, which is immigration enforcement. The illogic of their position is just about mind-boggling. The gentleman from Texas has come to this floor for one purpose, and one purpose only, in my view, to rail against the president, to castigate him for doing what his own party's iconic Ronald Reagan did when he was president, and George H.W. Bush did when he was president. And what every president has done to defer deportation when keeping people's lives and families together were in the balance. My friend from Texas wants to join his House colleagues and score political points with the most extreme elements of his party. So be it. But I just want to remind everyone that this isn't a game. And I would say that instead of floor theatrics and playing politics, it's time to step up and govern. It's time to confirm Sarah Zaldana and put her in charge of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Let's do the work we were sent here to do. I say to my friend from Texas what I've said before on this floor: there is a simple antidote to executive action. It is to have our friends in the House of Representatives pass immigration reform. Pass it, call it up for a vote. That's the antidote. Not disinformation and misleading speeches about what the president's action does and does not do, or blocking this nominee. Let's be clear. The president's executive action will not grant anyone legal status or citizenship. It is not a free pass, but it will clear the way for many to come out of the shadows, come forth, register with the government, pass a criminal background check, pay taxes, and no longer live in fear of having their families ripped apart. As a result of the president's actions, which is replicated actions by 11 presidents for the last 60 years on 39 different times, more Border Patrol will be sent to the southern border, more felons will be deported, more people will pay taxes like the rest of us, and more families will stay together. Those are all goals and values I think we would want to espouse to. The fact is, the Senate is being prevented from conducting the people's business. And for some members, that's the goal. For them, it's all or nothing. For them, it's an ideological war that can only be won or lost. For them, it's not about governing. It's about winning. So I would say to my colleagues, there is a very important difference. And that difference is the faces of millions of Americans who expect us to work for them. They don't care if we win or lose political battles. They want us to help them win their battles in their lives, for their families. That's what they want. It's what they deserve. and I ask my friends to help us do the people's business. Our agencies have waited long enough. They need positions filled by qualified appointees, and Sarah Zaldana is more than qualified. So I urge my colleagues to confirm this nominee and fill the position that is responsible for law enforcement activities that keep our country safe, that keep our country safe. And with that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.